My name is Jessica Gorman. I'm the mother of Sheridan Grace Gorman. Sheridan was 18 years old. She was a freshman at Loyola University Chicago. She was beautiful. She was funny, faithful, loving, full of plans to build something with her life. On March 19th, Sheridan went with friends to the lakefront in Chicago because they hoped they might see the northern lights. She never saw those lights. The man accused of murdering my daughter is Jose Medina, an illegal immigrant from Venezuela who should not have even been in this country. And even after committing a crime and having an outstanding warrant, he was left on the streets of Chicago to murder my innocent American child. But this story, it's not about him. This story is about my Sheridan. It's about how failed border policies, sanctuary city laws, and twisted leaders refused to cooperate with ICE. They sent her to her grave. It's about a government and politicians that forgot their first priority. And the question before this committee is painfully simple. When did protecting our American citizens stop being your first priority? And even more important, why did protecting our American citizens stop being your first priority? I want an explanation, I need one, and I deserve one. But first I want you to know who my Sheridan was. I want you to understand what we all lost because of your mismatched priorities. My husband and I have always joked that our older daughter, Madeline, is our pride. Well, Sheridan was our joy. From the moment she was born, Sheridan was pure energy, enthusiasm, laughter, fun. She was the kind of person who made every room brighter and usually a little louder. Which is why when Sheridan was in kindergarten, I remember going to her first parent-teacher conference. I was a little nervous because while she was the sweetest little girl you could possibly imagine, she was also the chattiest. I remember sitting down across from her teacher, bracing myself and asking with bated breath, "So, how's my Sheridan?" I'll never forget when the teacher looked at me very seriously and said, "I only have one thing to say to you." Oh, my stomach dropped. Then she said, "Your Sheridan stalks the buddy bench." I remember blinking at her. "I'm sorry, what?" She said, "Your Sheridan stalks the buddy bench." I was totally confused, and I asked, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And what exactly is a buddy bench? And the teacher smiled and said, "It's a beautiful thing." She explained that they had a bench in the play yard. She said that not all kids are as outgoing and confident as your Sheridan, so the children were told that if they wanted to play or if they felt lonely, left out, shy, they could sit on that bench. And then the other children were told that if they saw someone sitting there, they should go over, talk to them, ask them to play. And apparently Sheridan, my tiny kindergartner, had appointed herself the guardian of that bench. Every day at recess, instead of heading straight to the swings or joining in a game of kickball, my daughter hung back and hovered by the nearby tree, just watching that bench, just waiting, just in case someone might need her. The kids didn't even have a chance to fully sit down on the bench before Sheridan was rushing over to take them, to take their hand, pull them away. Girls, boys, first graders, kindergartners, it really didn't matter to her. If the child looked lonely, Sheridan went over. If someone had no one to play with, Sheridan was there. If someone felt invisible, Sheridan saw them. That was my daughter, and that is who she was until the day she was stolen from us. And I honestly can't make sense of it. I cannot make peace with it. And in what world does the child who spent her life making sure no one was lonely die terrified and alone on a pier in Chicago? In what world does the girl who saw everyone become invisible to the people in power responsible for protecting her? This cannot be explained away, and it cannot be buried beneath a list of unrelated issues that you all paraded before us. Thanks for telling me without telling me that, you're here, but you don't want to be. This is the fourth time you had angel families. Thanks for telling me you don't care. This cannot be buried under your slogans, your statistics, or excuses, and this just can't stand. So today, I bring this back to the buddy bench. I think Congress needs one. Yes. I think every governor, every mayor, every sanctuary city official and politician shifting blame and interest, hiding behind their slogans and talking points should have to all sit on one. And I challenge you all to sit down with me, take my hand, look me in the eye, and then explain to me, because I just don't understand. Explain why people here illegally matter more than your American citizens. Explain why sanctuary policies matter more than my Sheridan's life. explained why cooperation with ICE was too much to ask for, but asking our American parents to bury our children is somehow acceptable. Ask me. I need you to tell me. I want you to imagine that little girl on the buddy bench, that innocent college freshman with a heart full of compassion and a head full of dreams that was gunned down by an illegal immigrant, I want you to imagine that was your daughter, not mine. What if she was yours? Would you even hesitate for 1 second to act, to make changes? My Sheridan spent her whole life choosing others. Today I'm just asking this committee in our Congress, in our country, to choose her. She was worth protecting. She was worth saving. And she was worth your brave vote. To all of those who have supported us, who have prayed for us, who have cried with us, and to those who have had the courage to speak out and say Sheridan's name, thank you. Because every time you say her name, you give a piece of her back to us. You remind the world that Sheridan was not a talking point. She wasn't a statistic or a headline. She was our daughter. She will always be my sweet sunshine. And if the people who failed her would rather look away, then I'm asking the rest of you to look right at her. Here she is. There's she and I. Here she is. This is taken the day before she died. Say her name, tell her story, and demand better. Because my Sheridan Grace Gorman should still be alive. And no mother should have to stand where I am standing, begging elected leaders to value my child's life after it's already too late. I cried when I came into the room. I saw this poster that you made. It says, at every stop, the system had a chance to stop him. At every step, it failed. And my daughter paid for those failures, your failures, with her life. No family should ever have to bury a child because public officials fail to put American lives first. I'm just asking you to choose us. We choose you. We choose you. Choose us. Why does my child matter less than an illegal immigrant? Why? Listen, I have a heart. I love immigrants. Two of my best friends in this whole world are immigrants. They came here the right way. I absolutely think they make America beautiful. But my daughter's beautiful too. I need you to think about what these policies are. And I need you to imagine this is your daughter, because I'm very sure you won't be cutting off anyone when they're speaking. I'd be very sure you won't call this a political stunt. The grief is real. Every day I wake up with unimaginable pain. Do you know what I wake up in the middle of the night and I think, did my daughter cry for me? She made it 40 feet. She made it 40 feet running for her life. Did she cry out for me? She died on that pavement all by herself, lonely, bleeding on that pavement. And I will never, ever rest. I actually have to say that I am devastated. My husband and I, we're only a couple years away from retirement. I've worked my whole life so hard. All I wanted to do was just enjoy our children. Just wanted to enjoy my Sheridan, my Madeline. And now I'm bitter. I'm bitter because I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm a lover. I love children. I love pumping people up and making them feel good about themselves. I'm not racist. I'm not xenophobic. We've done everything right, my husband and I. We taught our daughter to be wonderful, beautiful person. Her love was extravagant. And now I'm going to have to spend my last waking moment, I'm going to have to spend fighting against these policies, fighting for people to say her name. So if you have the courage, please come talk to me. Come sit on that bench. I'll buy Congress a bench. Talk to each other. Talk to each other. We shouldn't be screaming across the room. I mean, we also shouldn't say but, because I have to just say, and I understand that you're here for a reason. I don't understand why it's only the Republican side that cares about our American children. And I know that you're a mother. I know that you're a father. I deeply value that. But basically what you just did, what you said was, I'm so sorry for your loss. I have a daughter too. I have a son. I feel your pain. You don't. You don't feel my pain. Because the next words out of your mouth were, but. There's no but. When your child is in a coffin, there's no but. And I need you to understand that. And if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. I'm going to buy you a bench. You can put that on the record. I'm going to buy Congress a bench. And they can come and sit and hold my hand and look me in the eye and explain to me why illegal immigrants are more important than my daughter. I really want to know because I don't understand. Please, I welcome you. I will listen. I will listen. I care. I just need you to explain it to me because I don't and I fear I will never understand.
For most Americans, January 19th, 2025 was just an ordinary day. For my family, it was a day that our lives were permanently altered. That night, my 20-year-old daughter, Katie, was riding with friends in Urbana, Illinois, visiting University of Illinois friends going to that college. The vehicle was stopped at a red light. They were exactly where they were supposed to be. They were obeying laws and posed a danger to no one. In a matter of seconds, an intoxicated illegal immigrant driving nearly 80 miles an hour crashed into the back of their idle vehicle. Katie was killed. Another young woman was killed. 3 other young people suffered serious injuries. My daughter's future ended in that intersection. Katie was bright, compassionate, athletic, and deeply loved. Today, instead of watching her graduate from college this year, begin a career, build a family of her own, we visit and tend to her grave. The individual responsible, Julio Cucabol, a Guatemalan national who was previously deported and re-entered illegally in the United States in 2022. After the crash, he fled, leaving the death and destruction behind him, but was later apprehended in Texas. As devastating as Katie's death is, what brings me here before Congress is not what happened that night. It's everything that happened before it. A previously deported individual, illegally returned to the United States, remained here, obtained an Illinois driver's license, and ultimately killed 2 women. Those are not my opinions, those are facts. During court proceedings, Bull testified through an interpreter that he could not read, write, or speak English or Spanish. He communicated primarily with Kaichi, an indigenous Mayan Guatemalan language. Imagine the struggles of translators there. Yet he was issued a valid Illinois driver's license, which raises serious questions. How was competency evaluated? Whether public safety was even a concern. Any protocols followed. Accountability cannot change what happened to Katie, but it can help prevent similar tragedies. My parents came to America legally more than 60 years ago from a developing country. Like millions of lawful immigrants, they believed America was a nation governed by laws rather than political convenience. They respected the process because they respected the country. They taught me citizenship carries obligations, that laws exist for a reason, and that government has fundamental responsibilities to the people it serves. When government fails in that responsibilities, real people bear the consequences. My daughter was one of them. The central question before this committee, to me, is straightforward. Did failures in immigration enforcement, government coordination, public policy increase preventable risks to American citizens? These are not partisan questions. They are oversight questions. They are public safety questions. Too often, immigration debates become about systems and policies while victims fade into the background. Katie was not a statistic. She was my daughter. She should still be alive today. Congress can't undo what happened to Katie, but it can examine what failed. demand transparency from government agencies and public officials, insist that policies be judged not by their intentions, by their outcomes. Katie lost her future January 19th, 2025. My family lost ours with her. I asked this committee to demand full transparency, identify the failures that allowed a previously deported individual to illegally return, remain in this country, obtain a driver's license, and ultimately kill 2 young women. Hold government accountable, strengthen coordination between federal, state, and local authorities, and judge every policy by one simple question. Would this better protect the next American stopped at a red light? Thank you.
Today, I would like to share my perspective on the impacts illegal immigration has had on a small rural county such as Amador. Located in California's Gold Country east of Sacramento, Amador covers 594 square miles and is served by just 54 sworn deputies and approximately 40 correctional deputies. Providing public safety services across such a large geographic area presents unique challenges. From 1999 through 2015, I served 8 years as a SWAT operator and another 8 years as the SWAT team leader responsible for high-risk search warrants and tactical operations. During that time, many large-scale illegal marijuana cultivation operations in Amador and neighboring counties were controlled by the Mexican drug cartels. These organizations frequently utilized individuals who had been smuggled into the United States to work at cultivation sites. Many of these individuals were armed and on occasion have engaged law enforcement officers. These operations pose significant risks not only to law enforcement personnel, but also to the public. Amador attracts more than 20,000 visitors annually to its streams, rivers, lakes, hiking trails, and campgrounds. Hikers and outdoor enthusiasts have encountered illegal cultivation sites and armed individuals. Cartels also smuggled banned pesticides into the region, causing substantial environmental damage and harming local wildlife. Between 2015 and 2025, Amador County investigated 73 illegal marijuana cultivation operations involving individuals to be believed unlawfully present in the United States. Arrested charges resulting from those investigations include 173 individuals, Asian origin, persons from China, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, 53 Mexican nationals, 1 Venezuelan national, 2 Ukrainian nationals, 2 South African nationals, and 1 Guatemalan national. Since President Trump returned to office and federal immigration enforcement priorities have changed, we have cooperated with ICE to the fullest extent permitted under California's SB 54 sanctuary law. As sheriff, my highest priority is protecting public safety. In early 2025, I made the decision that I would not knowingly release an undocumented criminal offender who posed a significant public safety risk back into the community, even if doing so placed me at odds with SB 54. On September 2nd, 2024, my office received a report involving a 14-year-old girl who disclosed to her cousin that her uncle, Diaz Mendoza, age 48, had been touching her over her clothing in the vaginal area. A deputy responded to the lake where she was present, interviewed the visibly distraught victim. She reported the abuse had been occurring for approximately 5 months outside of Amador County. My deputy interviewed the suspect and established probable cause to arrest him for felony lewd acts involving a minor. 2 days later, the suspect appeared in court and was released by the judge. In 2025, I was informed by our probation department that Diaz Mendoza had entered into a plea agreement negotiated by an Amador County deputy district attorney. The agreement reduced the case to a misdemeanor offense with credit time served and suspended probation sentence. I was advised that the plea agreement was structured, at least in part, because of my publicly stated position regarding cooperation with ICE and the likelihood that ICE would be notified upon his release. Upon learning of the plea agreement, I immediately contacted ICE and requested the agents take him into custody upon his release from court. Due to the limited notice, ICE was unable to respond that day. However, agents did locate and arrest him approximately 2 weeks later. We subsequently informed the victim and her mother, both of whom expressed appreciation for our efforts and relief that he would no longer have access to this 14-year-old victim. Since 2025, I have contacted ICE 8 times regarding removals authorized under SB 54 within my jail. Additionally, under SB 54, I have been required to release 16 individuals arrested for low-level offenses that did not meet the requirements of SB 54. My greatest concern as sheriff is that one of these individuals may reoffend and cause another preventable tragedy, such as Lincoln Riley and the people that are here with me to my right and my left. Preventable. In my view, public policy should prioritize accountability for criminal offenders, protection for victims, and the safety of law-abiding citizens. I believe it is long overdue that we place greater emphasis on victims' rights, hold offenders accountable, and ensure that public safety remains our highest priority. Thank you.
Like, what is it, like a felony? Would a felony be considered a serious case?
Absolutely.
So like a DUI, would that be considered a serious case?
I think it depends on the circumstances. A DUI is an extremely serious violation.
What about in the case of Mr. Abraham's daughter, the DUI, prior charge or conviction, would that be considered a serious case?
I think a DUI is a significant violation of our laws.
What about shoplifting?
Again, it's a significant violation of our laws.
Now, shoplifting is, I guess, a misdemeanor. Would that be, but would you still consider shoplifting a serious case?
In my testimony, I talked about how this administration should work with local jurisdictions to decide with them what are serious cases. Where are those jurisdictions willing to lend local resources to help ICE do its job? And that those conversations would be more fruitful than this administration's approach, which is instead to name and shame jurisdictions that it sees as not cooperating.
I think the question is like what you consider a serious case. So in the case of DUI or shoplifting, as in Ms. Gorman, those would be considered serious cases, and I'm glad you actually do that. I'm glad you disagree with the ranking member. Ms. Gorman, did you watch any of President Trump's State of the Union speech? Did you watch any of President Trump's State of the Union speech? When the president asked, I'm going to paraphrase loosely, that it is the duty of public servants in Congress to protect the safety and security of American citizens. Do you remember that moment? Yes. What happened in that moment? What happened in that moment? Did anyone stand? I don't know if your microphone's on or not.
They didn't respond.
They didn't respond. What did you feel at that moment?
Gentleman's time's expired.
Because she answered.
What I feel, I felt outrage. Outrage that our politicians who we choose don't choose us in return. That's how I felt. And I feel outraged that this guy, who, yeah, he might have only committed a misdemeanor, but he murdered my daughter. He was on the streets to murder my daughter, 100% preventable. He could have been scooped up twice, and he wasn't. He was allowed to murder my daughter.
Should have never been here. Thank you.
Sheridan Gorman, Katie Abraham, Chloe Polzin, Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Moran, Megan Boss, Elizabeth Medina, Dakara Thompson, and many more. Say their names. Say their names. Sheridan, Katie, Chloe, Lincoln, Jocelyn, Rachel, Megan, Elizabeth, and Dakara. May you rest in peace. These are Americans. These are people's children, their family member, their friends. And every single one of the names that I just mentioned deserve the chance to pursue the American dream. Every last one of them deserves to grow up and build a future and live in a country that is safe, secure, and governed simply by the rule of law. The rule of law that I fought in combat to fight for every single American. Instead, these stories end in tragedy. These tragedies were preventable. And when Democrat leaders refuse to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, Americans bear the deadly consequences. And I'm disgusted by my colleagues that fight so hard for the rights of people that have no business being here in the first place. This should not be a political debate. We are talking about real people, real families whose lives cannot be replaced ever again. Entering the United States illegally does not create a right to remain here indefinitely. For whatever reason, this is a political football. It's very cut and dry. This is very simple to someone like me. Let's consider this. This has already been stated, but in just 10 months, New York released nearly 7,000 aliens subject to ICE detainers. We are talking about crimes that include 29 murders, 2,500 assaults, 200 burglaries, 300 robberies, and hundreds of sexual assaults. And we are allowing these criminals and these animals back into our midst. Government's first responsibility is to protect our citizens. Anything less than that is a derelict of duty and a failure of leadership. And in this case, the intentional failure of leadership done by political purposes. Our chairman was speaking earlier during his opening remarks talking about 10 million people that have entered this country illegally that we know of. I've heard 15, I've heard 20. I don't give a damn how many it is. It's one too many. And especially people that come here and rape and maim our babies. This is what I get up and do this job every single day because I have babies too, and I see these pictures that are in front of me, and I weep for you because I see my babies in these photos, and it could have been one of mine as well. And if we don't do our jobs up here on Capitol Hill, we're going to have more pictures, we're going to have more murders, and we're going to have more rapes. This is the bottom line. This is not a partisan issue. Ms. Gorman, Mr. Abraham, I want to thank you so much for being here and offer you my deepest condolences. Thank you so much for being here. And ma'am, I know this has to be very difficult, but you're doing it in the name of your baby. And she's looking down on you, and she is very, very proud of you for doing this, I can assure you. Sheriff, thank you very much for being here as well. Last year, sir, you did a Fox News interview in which you mentioned that under the direction of Gavin Newsom, you received a threatening letter from the Attorney General of California because of your pledge to work with law enforcement. Is this true, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
With my remaining time, sir, what would be your message to Governor Gavin Newsom and Democrat leaders across this country who persist with these homicidal sanctuary policies? And Sheriff, do you think that it is normal for the governor and attorney general of a state to tell a member of law enforcement to not cooperate with law enforcement?
No, I do not. It puts me in a very hard position, but once again, I will continue to do what I believe is right. And my message is really clear. In California, stop championing the criminals and let's start championing the victims, sir.
Amen. We're killing each other from within. That is how this country comes to an end, not from anybody from the outside, but because we allow 10 million people enter our country illegally, and then we make excuses for them after they murder our babies. That's insanity. And no other country operates like that. Neither should we.
Sir.
We have heard testimony in this committee of sanctuary jurisdictions that consider immigration consequences before they finalize cases, before they charge cases, before they plead cases. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Will you condemn that?
I think that both U.S. citizens and immigrants should be charged and treated.
I didn't ask that. Will you condemn considering immigration policies before charging or resolving cases?
I don't think immigration should be a consideration when we're talking about criminal law.
Because when they do that, that does affect immigration enforcement, correct?
We're not talking about criminal law. We're not talking about civil immigration enforcement.
I'm talking about criminal illegal immigrants, ma'am. Someone sat in that very chair and said, I will release somebody if they're an illegal immigrant and they're charged with a serious felony. I questioned them 2 weeks ago. That would affect immigration enforcement, would it not?
ICE can pick them up either way,
Now,
whether or not they're charged, sir.
Asking a Biden official to talk about border policy is pretty laughable, I've got to say so. I think it's past time that we as Americans do stand up and say that American children are treasures. They are unique. Protecting them should be our foremost priority. That's impossible when you embrace open borders. That's impossible when you welcome people from all over the world, regardless of who they are.
I sent my daughter to Chicago because I thought it was safe. You hear all the rhetoric in the politics. I sent her there because I thought she was safe. No, she wasn't safe. It never would have even occurred to me that this could have happened. Yes, Mr. Abram talked about, as a parent, you worry. I worry about car accidents. You worry, that they'll drink too much. You never even conceive that she would be murdered, shot in the back of the head by an illegal immigrant on a pier going to see the Northern Lights with her friends. It's not even something you can even conceive. And you can actually dismiss the angel families. You can say, but you don't want to hear four sessions on angel families. I'm sorry, you need to. You need to.